It's 6:40 in the morning. Steam is rising off the vents behind Marigold Bakery, and the employee parking lot is white with frost. Denise parks next to Carl every single day. Same shift, same job, same pay. This morning the cold snap got both of their cars. Carl turns his key and gets a click. Denise turns hers and gets the same click. Two dead cars, side by side, and two very different price tags coming. The same tow truck hauls both cars to the same garage. The same mechanic, Sal, calls them both with the same number, $640. Denise sighs, says fine, and goes back to piping roses onto a birthday cake. Carl steps into the flower room so nobody sees his face. Same car, same repair, same price. One of them shrugs, one of them spirals, and by next winter, this one breakdown will have cost Carl about $2,000 more than it cost her. My name is Nick. Hold that frozen picture. Two dead cars and two identical invoices sitting on Sal's counter. Here is the one idea. The first $10,000 you save is not about what it can buy. It changes the price of everything else. Being broke is expensive. A cushion is a discount on your whole life. Same two people, same bad luck one full year. Watch what the money does. Meet Carl properly. He runs the ovens, he's good at it, and he takes every double shift rosa the manager offers. He is not dumb and he is not lazy. On break he checks his banking app with the ovens roaring behind him. $81. That is the whole gap between him and zero. A famous survey found most Americans could not cover a $400 emergency in cash. Look back at that frosty lot. Most of those people could not cover this repair either. Denise decorates the cakes, and her pay matches Carl's to the dollar. The only difference is a boring savings account with $10,000 in it. It took her 6 years to build, and she never spends it. She checks it on her phone in the break room maybe once a month, and it just sits there. Keep your eye on that dull little number. It is about to quietly rewrite every price she pays. That evening after close, Carl stands at Sal's counter and asks to pay half now and half next month. Sal is kind about it, but a garage is not a bank. So Carl walks 2 blocks to a payday loan storefront under a glowing yellow sign. It works like a bank except for the prices. He borrows $500, at what works out to around 400% a year. He signs anyway. The car is how he gets to work. Denise walks those same 2 blocks an hour later. She counts out the $640 in cash, then asks one small question. Any discount if I pay today? Sal knocks off $40 without really thinking about it, because cash today is worth more to a small shop than a promise next month. Denise drives home before dinner. Total damage, $600 and one annoying afternoon. Now put the 2 pieces of paper side by side on Sal's counter. Her stamped receipt says $600. His loan agreement will say more than $800 once the rollover slip stops stacking up under the magnet on his fridge. Same car, same repair, 2 different prices. Nobody cheated him. The price simply changed depending on whose hands were holding it. Call that the broke tax. 3 weeks later, the broke tax comes back on its own. Carl's loan payment pulls out of his account automatically at midnight. He finds out at a gas pump in the dark. Card declined, nozzle in hand, balance negative $18. That night his phone buzzes on the kitchen table. The phone bill, $35 overdraft fee. The electric bill, another $35. A $9 streaming charge, another $35. $105 for being $18 short. Carl spends his lunch break at the bank branch asking a teller to waive the fees. She waives one. The other 2 stick. $70 gone. That same week, the same bills came out of Denise's account and nothing happened. Her phone stayed face down on the counter while she cooked dinner. A few days later, she pulls a statement from her mailbox with a small plus sign at the bottom. The bank paid her interest. It charged him $70 for having no money and paid her for having some. Here is the nastiest part. Once your balance drops below zero, the fees start on their own. You do not have to do anything. Carl is asleep, and his phone lights up at 3 in the morning with another one. Overdraft fees are my favorite scam. $35 charged only to people who have no money. The yellow sign loan refuses to die. Paying it off in one go would empty his paycheck, so he pays a fee just to push the due date back a month. Twice. To kill it before a third round, he sells his guitar, the one good thing he owned, to a stranger in a parking lot for $80. It was worth $300. When you have to sell today, any offer looks fair. That same evening, Denise is asleep on her couch by 9:30. Boring. Undefeated. October. A bakery floor eats shoes, and both of them need new non-slip pairs. Carl stands in the discount store line holding the $35 pair because that is what this week allows. They are fine for about 4 months. Then a soul splits open right by the ovens, and he is back in the same line, buying the same shoes for the third time this year. Denise buys the $110 pair, and it stings at the register. Those shoes will still be going strong years from now. Add up the receipts. Carl has spent more on bad shoes than she spent on good ones, and his feet ache through every double shift. Call it the cheap twice tax. Cheap things are expensive, but only for the people who can't afford the good ones. November. They rent apartments in the same building, 2 doors apart, same landlord. One evening there is a letter taped to each door. Rent is going up $120 a month. Same building, same paper, same signature. And down by the laundry room, Mr. Otis, the landlord, sits in his little office, waiting to see which one pushes back. Carl runs the numbers at his kitchen table and gets nowhere. Moving means a deposit plus first month's rent, over $2,000 he does not have. So the letter was never really a question. He walks down the hall and signs for the full 120, not because he agreed, because he could not afford to disagree. Being broke quietly deletes the word no from your vocabulary. Denise walks into the same little office and mentions, truthfully, that a nicer place across town is available and her deposit money is ready. Mr. Otis does his own math. An empty apartment costs him more than a smaller raise. Her increase drops to $40. Nobody yelled and nobody cheated. He could simply see which of them was able to leave. Every negotiation is priced by who can walk away, and $10,000 is walking away money. December. Car insurance renewals land on 2 kitchen tables. The rule is simple. The more of a surprise you can cover yourself, the less the company charges you every month. Carl's pen hovers over the $1,000 box, then retreats to the low one because a big surprise would sink him, so his bill stays high. Denise ticks the 1,000 and circles the new number, $300 a year cheaper. Her savings never moved. The bill just got smaller. There is a quieter cost that never prints on a receipt. 2 in the morning, January. Carl is on his back staring at the ceiling, running the same numbers again and again. Rent, the credit card, the loan. 2 doors down, Denise is asleep. The next day at the ovens, Carl burns a whole tray of croissants, and Rosa notices. A cushion buys a lot of things, but the first one is 8 hours of not doing math in the dark. February. Rosa pins a notice to the break room corkboard. She is opening a second bakery across town and she needs someone to run it. 20% raise. One catch. While the ovens get installed, the first 6 weeks are part-time hours. Denise and Carl read it on the same break, holding the same coffee. Both of them want it. Carl does the math on a napkin and stops halfway down. 6 thin weeks means missing rent or missing a loan payment or both. So he congratulates Rosa and stays at the ovens. Read that back. He turned down a raise because he could not afford to accept it. That is the cruel one. The best opportunities cost something up front. Denise takes it. Through the thin weeks she is taping paper over the new shop windows and eating packed lunches among unplugged ovens, and her savings absorb the gap. By summer, her name is on the door and she is earning 20% more every single month. She never spent a dollar of that 10,000. It just had to exist, and suddenly yes was affordable. 1 year after that frosty morning, Carl sits alone on break with his year fanned out in front of him. Loan stubs, 2 fee letters, 3 shoe receipts, and a photo of a guitar. Roughly $2,000 extra for the identical year. Across town, one clean bank statement is pinned above Denise's new desk, and the balance is bigger than it was. Money really is cheaper when you have some. Now the honest part. Saving the first 10,000 is the slowest, most boring money you will ever make. 100 small nos in 100 checkout lines. Picture Denise 6 years ago at an ATM at night, feeding in $50, the receipt reading 210. It felt pointless. At 900, it still felt pointless. The cushion starts working long before it ever feels real. And keep it in its lane. At a family barbecue, somebody's cousin waves a phone at Denise with a chart going up like a rocket and calls her savings lazy money. Let the cousin talk. She goes back to the grill. This will not make you rich. It is defense, not investing, and none of this is financial advice. 10,000 in a savings account earns almost nothing, and that is fine. The cushion is not trying to win. It is trying to make losing cheap. One more thing. Carl is not the fool of this story. Picture him at his kitchen table with a wall calendar and a fan of envelopes, rearranging due dates like a puzzle while his dinner goes cold. That is extra work on top of the double shifts. Some people are genuinely underwater. Medical bills, low pay, bad luck stacked on bad luck, and no video fixes that. Carl is most people, doing their best while everything costs them extra. The trap is that being broke makes everything cost more, which makes it harder to stop being broke. But the loop runs the other way too. Every dollar you keep makes the next one easier to keep. That spring, Carl starts. $40 every payday into a boring account he refuses to look at. By autumn, there is 600 in it. Then his wiper motor dies in that same parking lot and he just pays. No fees follow. No letters come. A bad day finally costs exactly what the receipt says. So do not stare at 10,000. Stare at 400. The number from that survey, the gap that turns your next emergency into an errand. Then build the next gap at your own kitchen table, one boring transfer at a time. Every $100 you stack quietly lowers the prices around you. Fewer fees, better shoes, a steadier voice in the landlord's office. Winter circles back and the lot behind Marigold Bakery turns white again. 2 cars, side by side. 2 keys turning. Carl's cushion is small, but it is growing, and whatever the cold breaks this year will be an errand, not a spiral. Because the first $10,000 was never really a number. It is a different set of prices. Save the boring money, and life, weirdly and quietly, goes on sale.